Listen to this. 1 Corinthians 7:4, Paul says, your body is not yours once you get married. And your body is mine, my body is yours. He even says, no one should just deprive the other person of sex and say, I don't feel like, because that's not your body. That's the only part where your body is not yours. I mean, that's the only relationship is marriage, where you say, you can't even say, no, I don't feel like, unless both of you talk about it.
How practical is that, just in case someone misinterprets it?
You see, the thing about marriage is you have to be intentional. You don't wake up and all of a sudden things are okay. You work on them. You take time off. Say, honey, I'm going to take time off now so we can go out with the kids. My boy is playing rugby. I'm going to take a time off in the morning. You take time. You make time. Things don't just happen. To express my love, I don't do the things I want. I do the things you want. Now, in a relationship.
That's powerful.
I
want you to emphasize on that one.
In a relationship like marriage, you don't focus on the things you want, on the things you need to express your love. If I love watching soccer, I cannot say to my wife, every Sunday, let's go watch soccer. That's not loving. If she comes, she does it because she loves me.
Welcome to Something Nice with Dinano, and thank you for joining us on this a special program and conversation we had with renowned speaker, theologian, pastor, Dr. Jongimpi Papu. We spoke on a topic that he's been delving on for the longest time, that of marriage and relationships. And we ask a crucial question. Is marriage still a relevant custom? With so much divorce being faced by people of different faiths, different races, different backgrounds, is this still a relevant custom? And if you find yourself in a position where you have decided to get married, how do you navigate the challenges? How do you deal with divorce? How do you deal with children? How do you deal with sex? We'll talk about all those things. If you gain value from this conversation today, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you answer the question of the day. Is marriage still a relevant custom? And don't forget to subscribe. Welcome to Something Nice with Dinano. Enjoy the conversation. We carry on again, Fundisi. You keep saying, I want to talk about divorce. I don't want to talk about divorce, but I want to talk about people that find themselves in a precarious situation where they feel like we've tried all we can. We've exhausted everything. We are just not meant for each other. Are there situations like that? And if you find yourself in such a situation, how should you approach that situation?
Yeah, look, maybe what we need to do is we do realize that we are living in a very imperfect world with imperfect people. As much as we can say divorce is not the best option, divorce can be very painful. Sometimes it's worse than death, especially for children. It's something that we need to. When I speak on the issue of divorce, I say it's the way we approach it. It's like it's one of the options. We can divorce. It's like I'm divorcing because you didn't make tea the last 3 days. It's so flippant. It's so that's what I'm really. If you're going to move to a point where you're going to part ways, there are certain things you need to consider. There's children, there's this, there's that. But like you say, we've done everything and we've come to a point where we say, you know what? The best thing for our children, for you and for me is to divorce. But you know what happens? By the time people divorce, they are at each other's throats. They hate each other. They're enemies. And they divorce on that. It's even worse. Because now they've got enough tools to kill each other. Because now they're not staying with each other. It can, in other words, when divorce happens, one would always, which is not always possible, that it's going to be matured people who are civil. And they would say, the person will be able to come and see the children, take the children out. No, you can't come here. Some people say, no, don't even come see these children. It can be very like a second world war.
What makes it like that, Ufuni, is when this is someone let's say you genuinely loved this person, but somehow in the journey you've grown apart. What makes it so bad that
the closer you are, the more hurting you can be, the deeper the wound. When there's intimacy, and something happens, the wound, it runs very deep in a relationship that has been very close. But if the relationship wasn't that close, sometimes you say, I always knew you would leave. But when the relationship is that close, people feel hurt. They feel so hurt that they think the best way is to hurt you. The mistake is instead of acknowledging your hurt. I was listening to a story of a woman who got divorced at 46. They've been married for 46 years. Married for 46 years. She gets a letter and the husband says it's over. And the husband is going to get married to somebody. 46. You got hurt. You really get hurt. Now, the problem is not you getting hurt. Nobody says you must not get hurt, but it's what you do with that hurt. And this is how they do it. Then they start hating the other person and hating. Because hurt people hurt. Then you hate your children, you hate the partner. He says, I'm going to show you. You'll be nothing. As long as I live, I'll make sure you get nothing. Whatever you do, I'll make sure I hunt you. You know, it's because of the hurt.
Can you blame them? You've invested so much, 46 years.
Yeah, but then you are still hating yourself more by doing that. Because you hate your children. Now you cannot be okay. You cannot enjoy yourself. When you see your husband driving a new car, you can't be happy for him. You feel like, I wish he could die in that car, and he doesn't die, he gets promotion. So what is that doing to you? It's like drinking acid to destroy the person you don't like. So you're hurting yourself. So the sooner you acknowledge the hurt and remember the good things but the problem is when we divorce, we even hate those good days. But treasure those good days. Those were genuine. It's just that now this has come to an end. And then you move on. But it's not as easy as I put it when I say move on. But it needs one to realize that we had something going on here, but it has come to an end, and it's time to move on.
There are things you spoke about. One of your virtual conversations on marriage. I saw it. I think it's the last one you posted, or one that drew my attention on your YouTube channel. You were talking about, I don't know, maybe I'm going to term it differently, passion killers in a relationship. I think work was one of those things.
Killers,
Intimacy killers, yes. Can we touch on those? And how do we go about making sure that intimacy stays in the relationship? You know, sometimes as Christians, we tend to shy away from talking about intimacy. And I think you were specific there. You said intimacy is not sex. But let's talk about intimacy and then talk about sex, because I want us to talk about sex because it is one of those subjects we tend to shy away from and its importance.
Yeah, you remember we spoke about friendship in marriage. There's a term now. It may not be official, but it's being used, and it's called frientimacy.
Okay.
Intimacy that builds on friendship, and you must build that. You see, the thing about marriage is you have to be intentional. You don't wake up and all of a sudden things are okay. You work on them. You take time off. Say, honey, I'm going to take time off now so we can go out with the kids. My boy is playing rugby. I'm going to take a time off in the morning. You take time. You make time. Things don't just happen. So when we're talking about intimacy, what steps? I mean, if I were to ask you, like a married person, what are you doing to increase the intimacy? You can't say no. I just what? You've got to have plans.
Sunday mornings, let's be in bed together.
Yeah, Sunday mornings, we don't have to worry.
Let's make sure we
Let's
go
just
out
sit
every
there.
month, just
Yeah.
the two of us.
You know what you are
Type of
doing
thing.
there? You are building into a relationship. You are building in that relationship. And we're not saying because you are doing that, you will never have problems. But it also helps you to avoid, because if we don't have time where we can be with each other and enrich each other, whenever there's a problem, even if it's just a small thing, you just explode. Because there's something they call emotional bank deposit. If your bank is empty, there's nothing in that bank, and the person keeps withdrawing by disappointing you, by not keeping time, by not remembering your birthday. And it just keeps doing this, keep withdrawing. Obviously, you're going to run out and you're going to explode. But if that bank is full, so the idea, which was coined by Steve Harvey, the late, is let's deposit into the bank. Deposit into the bank. There'll be times where you might want to withdraw. Do you know what? If my wife is particular with where I put my shoes, if I've taken her out on a beautiful night and I put my shoes where they're not supposed to be, chances are she's not going to explode. She's going to say, honey, you know, man, these shoes, because she's fine, she's so full. But if she's been not having any attention, nothing, and then the next thing you do this, then it's Second World War. So it's emotional bank account. If you keep depositing there, you'll be able to withdraw. I'm not saying you just decide to withdraw, but life happens. And it won't be a tsunami when that happens.
Intimacy, to someone who thinks intimacy is just sex, how do you change the mindset of that person to see intimacy as more than just having sex, but more like spending more time with this person you have invested?
Do you know, especially
life.
from the way we approach sex as men, it's a physical thing. For us, you don't need anything. You can just, and that's it. For women, it's friendship. It's you being helpful around the home. It's those moments where buy flowers and all of that. You know those things are important. Maybe not to the men, but they're important to the wife. So the problem that we have is when there's something they call, I know we've overused the term love language. Love language is basically says that you can only love a person by the language he speaks. In other words, otherwise, if I come to you and I say I love you and I speak in French, I've lost you. But if I speak your language, even if I may not speak it perfectly, you feel like I'm there. So in other words, I don't, to express my love, I don't do the things I want. I do the things you want. Now, in a relationship.
That's powerful.
What do
and I want you to emphasize on that one. Type in from this place.
In a relationship like marriage, you don't focus on the things you want, on the things you need to express your love.
Mm-hmm.
If I love watching soccer, I cannot say to my wife, every Sunday, let's go watch soccer. Mm-hmm. That's not loving. Mm-hmm. If she comes, she does it because she loves me, because I love her. Mm-hmm. But I cannot say, but I took you out for soccer. But it was for you. It was not doing it for me. So in other words, my wife should be able to say, I know my husband loves soccer. Why don't you go out and watch soccer next week? Not because she wants to, because she knows you enjoy it. And she says, let's go. I'm going to prepare this and then let's go. She's not looking forward to it, but she knows you love it. That's basically what we do in marriage. But the problem is when she's doing that, but the other person, there's no reciprocity. There is reciprocity. Mm-hmm. And when that lacks, it creates a serious challenge. Mm-hmm. So love is meeting the other person's need fully rather than focusing on it. There's a word they call narcissist. Narcissistic people, narcissists are people who just focus on their needs. Mm-hmm. They don't care about how you feel. Mm-hmm. So intimacy basically says, I have looked and considered your needs and I want to meet them. Whenever you do that, we are being you're creating a very intimate environment.
Sex. Let's talk about sex. Thinking of a song now. Let's talk about sex, baby. Yeah, yes. Let's talk about you. You probably wouldn't know it. There's so many things I want to talk to you about, but today let's focus on this. Let's talk about sex. How important is it in building intimacy and closeness and chatting?
Remember, if you look at the Bible, one of the only things that you would do in a marriage that cannot be done in any relationship is sex.
Okay.
You could hug a person, you could probably kiss a person, you could take a person to the stadium. You could do that to anyone. But the Bible confines sex to marriage. So which means, whether we like it or not, the area of sex also defines the type of relationship, that this is marriage. Mm. You know that because now we can share sex together. But I'm not speaking to the fact that now everybody can sleep with everybody. That's another thing. But to a point where, listen to this, 1 Corinthians 7:4, Paul says, your body is not yours once you get married. Mm. And your body is mine, my body is yours. He even says, no one should just deprive the other person of sex and say, I don't feel like, because that's not your body. That's the only part where your body is not yours. I mean, that's the only relationship is marriage, where you say, you can't even say, no, I don't feel like, unless both of you talk about it.
How practical is that, just in case someone misinterprets it? You know, GPV South Africa is prevalent and other parts of the world too. My body is yours, your body is mine. What does that mean?
It means,
how can we not misinterpret that?
You see, it means there's no way we can abuse. I cannot, you see, your body is my body. If it's one way, your body is my body, and it ends there, then you open abuse. But if I say, and this body is yours, it just balances. But the problem where there's abuse is only your body that's mine. I can do whatever I want with that body. No, you can't. You can't do, when I say your body is mine and my body is yours, you can't do whatever you want. Yeah. Whatever we do here, we must agree. So if I'm going to abuse you, we must agree that I'm going to abuse you. I mean, I'm just being facetious here. So Paul talks about consent. If we're not going to share the bed together, we're not going to have sex together, it's something that we agree on together. You can't say, I know today there's marital rape, there's this and that. It all it means is we sit down and say, honey, I'm having a challenge with this, or would you mind if we don't? And the reason you are saying that because you recognize that this is his body. So he needs also to be part of the decision. Likewise with the but what it also does, I can't carry my wife's body. This is my wife's body to another relationship.
Yeah.
It also means that I cannot find myself encouraging infidelity with the body that's not mine. That's my wife's body. That's why she gets so affected and so hurt because you have taken her body to somebody else.
So this is an exclusive thing.
Very exclusive.
Ezinto zikhoyo these days about open relationships, open sexual relationships, and experimenting on the bed. Where should Christians stand with such things?
Open relationship don't make sense. Any relationship has boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
You can't use open in relationship.
Mm.
It's like saying between my child and the parents, we've got an open relationship.
Mm-hmm.
No, we don't. There's a father and a son. There's a parent and a child. There's nothing like open. Open relationship is an oxymoron. There are boundaries. I cannot say I'm married to you, but you can do whatever you want to do. Then we are not married. It's a lie. You just happen to be here in this bed. Tomorrow there'll be somebody else. That's the open relationship. But you can't have a marriage, which by definition closes all other avenues, and then you call it open. I know of figures, I'm not going to mention them, that claim to have opened, but ask the kids if they enjoy that. You'll be surprised. Ask the children whether they enjoy going home and sing mama with another daddy and sing daddy with another mom. Ask them. See if it makes sense. So there are certain things we do to accommodate our corrupt natures, and then we give them fancy words like open relationship. Just because there's a fancy word doesn't mean it's legitimate.
So you touch on another aspect that maybe we can touch next year when we have time again, the issue of kids in a relationship. So if you're blessed to have kids in a relationship, it's no longer about just the two of you, the husband and wife. There are kids that need to be considered now when decisions are made, when things happen in the relationship between mama and tata, because they are here, they see these things, and somehow if the relationship is bad, it affects them. I mean, we've heard children coming from troubled homes would be affected in their schoolwork and other things outside of the home, in their relationships outside of the home.
Actually, I could even go to the extent of saying, even when you want to divorce, children must be factored.
Okay.
So, okay, now that we're going to divorce, where are you going to stay? You can't be in Australia and I'm in South Africa. How will kids be visiting? You know, today what we say, if people are going to divorce, try not to be very far from each other to make it easier for your kids too. So you see, even in the divorce arrangement, if the father has custody and the mother must come for the kids every other weekend, the issue there is, the implication there is that she's not far. You can't be in America and be seeing the kids every other weekend. Are you with me? So even in the construction of the divorce arrangement, we need to factor in children. Because when we divorce, our children are not divorced from us. They are still part of us. So I agree with you that we have to think, when you're looking for employment, you say, I'm not going to take this job because it would mean me being away for half of the year and not seeing my kids. And that's it. You turn it down. A promotion, you turn it down. If you're looking for a house, you say, but we can't buy that house. It's so far away from the school where my kids are. We need a house closer. That's what it means. It means now, whatever decision you make, you've got to consider. And some people say, no, my happiness is more important. Now, when you speak like that, you're speaking like, I almost said like a fool, but I shouldn't say that. You're not reasoning because it's when you see your children thriving, being happy, that you are going to be happy as well.
We must make time for this conversation. I heard a sermon you preached. I'll also link it here. Sunning Hill SDA Church. I think they call it Sentence SDA Church, which was powerful. I didn't finish it, but I think you started with this thing that the happiness of your children is very important. So when you take decisions as a parent, as a married couple, always consider where such decisions will put your children or will leave your children. Money and spiritual life, and then we end it. Money is such an integral part of any relationship, especially in marriage. Sometimes it can be a hindrance, sometimes it can be a blessing. How do we navigate issues of money in a marriage?
Yeah, it comes back to what we said earlier on. When you have not found yourself and then you have money, then you think money makes you, then you're going to have a serious problem in relating to people. Generally, if a person does not have a good relationship with money, he cannot have a good relationship with other people. You want to have friends if money to you means more than the friendship you have. Then you're going to say, how much do you have before I can even be your friend? And people can easily see that you're monetizing everything. And then you'll be very lonely with your money. And so, yes, money and marriage. I know of people who the wife would be working and the husband. This is more than money is providing now. The wife is working, the husband is not. And the husband feels like, I'm useless because I'm not providing, I'm not bringing money. And this is the end of it. And sometimes he's made to feel like that. But it's also the same with the husband who's working, who has the money. And he calls the shots. Why do you ask me where I come from? Some of us have to work, so that you can wear the shoes you're wearing, so that you can drive the car you're driving. So all of a sudden now you have no say because I'm the one who has the money and I'm giving you money. And in a way, those relationships don't last long, by the way. They don't. So it's our money. How do we use it to build ourselves? How do we use it to create an environment that's good for our children? How do our money? But if it's your money and your esteem is linked to it, then there's a serious problem. Very, very serious. Very serious. To a point where even the way you relate to the in-laws, if they are poor, if they don't have money, they're in trouble. You keep saying your parents who always don't have money, asking money from us, it's going to be a big thing. When you look at money as a resource to help people around, to help my parents, my siblings, my wife's siblings, that's it. I mean, if you have enough to go around, then you help as much as you can. I'm not saying you don't have boundaries. But when money becomes a god, then you must worship that money, and you can't worship money and serve others. It doesn't work like that.
Spirituality. You mentioned God. Let's segue perfectly into spirituality. Is it necessary for us to be of the same faith for our marriage to be successful?
There are two ways of answering that. There are others. There's one way of saying faith. It doesn't matter which faith you have. All faiths are okay. All faith point to the same thing. With that view, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you are this faith or that faith because we almost say the same thing. But there's another view that the very fact that there's another faith, which means there are things that are not in the other faith that are found in another faith. And you make it easier for yourself. If in your faith, whenever you have a problem, you have to hit a drum. And in my faith, I must kneel and pray. Then the question is, when there's a problem in this home, which one is going to prevail? Are we going to hit the drum? If you've got the tolerance level, so don't go hit your drum, honey. And then after that, I'm going to pray. I'm just using this as an example. Now you are now going to fight on how you should approach this issue that you have. How are you going to approach? Here's our child who's sick. I'm going to take him to the hospital, and this thing doesn't need a hospital. There's a person I know who stays in that township who can help. Now, which one are we going to use? So now, not only do you have a problem with the sick child, you have a problem on what to do to mitigate, to intervene. And then that's a big one. So the issue about faith, it may not look important when you are not married, because there are not many decisions that impact on your faith that you must make. Yes. But once you get married, it's a different story.
So what's the advice you're
giving?
Can
the two work together lest they be agreed? That's what the Bible says.
What is your advice?
My advice is do yourself a favor. And by the way, it doesn't do yourself a favor and look for somebody who, because faith is very important in your decision making.
Equally yoked.
Huh?
Equally yoked.
Yeah. Faith is very important in your decision making. So do yourself a favor. You don't have to defend your faith when you're making decisions. There should be an assumption that this is where we are. But it doesn't mean just because we are agreed on faith, it means things are going to be smooth. There are people who are both in the same church, both serving in the same church, but they end up divorcing. So we cannot just say, this is it. Once you get this, that's the panacea. you'll live happily ever after.
Growing up, Ekaya, we had a writing on the wall. A family that prays together stays together. Don't know if that's really the case, but I've always admired that maxim or that saying. How important do you think it is in sustaining marriages, in building healthy family environments that can bring up kids that can be beneficial to the society?
You know what it does to children when they see the father and the mother holding hands and praying, when they see the mother and the father raising their petitions to God and praying for their children, it does something. It creates peace. It says we are safe here. All right? When you see your father kneeling, do you know that it's going to be very difficult? I'm not saying it doesn't happen, to kneel down with your wife and your kids and ask God to bless you and stand after prayer and hit everybody.
As a good conference, should we start kneeling when we pray?
I'm just using the posture of kneeling. We're coming together, whether we're standing or whatever, sitting down, but we're coming together and we're praying. It just does something. If I were to be personal here, I don't have that experience with my father where we would kneel together and pray. It happened once or twice before he died when he became a Christian. But it's something I've longed for. I actually realized when we were kneeling and praying, when I see myself crying, that I've missed this. Just to kneel with... Some people take this for granted because they grew up kneeling with their fathers and their parents and praying. Never. You know, when we pray, we become vulnerable. When we pray, we are all at the same level. We are all needing mercy and God's grace. To hear my father asking God for help, it to me was very powerful, vulnerable. I mean, I thought my father could beat anyone, including God if he has to. But to see him kneeling down, and I was old, I was already a pastor, it touched me. So, by the way, we say a family that prays together stays together, and a family that plays together stays together. So, because if we pray together, but we would never play together, then we will blame the prayer for not playing. But if we pray together and play together, we will say, you know what? Because we pray together, we even have the capacity to play together. And kids enjoy play more than prayer. So those playing together, then they can link the two. It says we are a praying family and a playing family. I'm a pastor. Imagine playing with the kids. It makes them feel like God can play with us.
Yes.
So when you approach God, doesn't mean you cannot play. Maybe not on
I think
Sabbath.
this is the best best way to end it, the play part. Because sometimes we tend to take things too seriously and we don't show our childish side or our immaturity in relationships. And I think that's very important. Can't treat relationships like you're in a church during 11 o'clock, so to speak, and let's always be serious. We must put play and also not forget God.
And that play makes your... Play is part of spirituality. Spirituality is not just praying. We get to know each other when we play. It is when you are playing that you can instill principles of fairness. No. Give this one a chance. You are actually, when you play, inculcating your spiritual principles, your biblical principles. So playing must not be taken like, no, when we play, we give it such a thing. We have to be fair. If there's a rule, there are rules. We're playing dominoes or we're playing whatever cards. We're playing, there are rules. Oh, that is cheating. You can't cheat. You see now what is happening? You are cheating. Where did we say we should not cheat? When we were praying. Now we're playing. So we are not expected to cheat,
yes.
Which is playing. So you take your prayer life into your playing life. But that's a good thing that you raised there. That connection between playing and praying, where your praying principles also are carried over to your playing environment. It's marvelous, amazing.
Final word to someone who says things are not going well, but we want to give it another try. We think it can work. It has worked before, but we have reached this level where we are too busy. We are too preoccupied with so many things that we think could benefit this family, that could elevate us to a certain level. But we've also noticed that having spent so much time trying to get to a certain level, we've neglected our relationship. What message do you have
Yeah,
for
I like
such a
it.
person.
I like it. I can say once we reach that stage, for me, in there, you've got the solution. That's the most perfect moment in any relationship, when two people say, you know what, we know why we're here. We know what went wrong. And together, let's find a way to rectify and amend the way we've been doing things. We have grown apart, which is not good. The worst part is not to realize that and say, no, you are the one to blame for this. But when we come to a point where we realize, both of us, that, you know what, I've got a role that I've played here, you've played a role, and let's see if we can change things around. More often than not, whenever we get to that stage, you can know that things are going to change around. Sometimes you get to a point where you even call the children, guys, we've been too busy. When we've met with mommy and daddy, and this is what we're coming to agree. And life will not be the same from now on.